So it just seems impossible to get something done for an event.
It can be hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Painting a whole army.
Yeah.
Maybe a display board. Getting some games into practice. Where do you find the time?
Where?
Don't answer that. Welcome to another video, guys. Lords of War Games and Hobbies. I'm Chris. This is Jay. And Jay just got back from Adepticon, and I figured now would be a great time to do a really general video about how one gets ready for something like that. How does one approach it? What's the process like? And yeah, we have some experts here maybe to talk about that.
Well, I mean, the really easy way is you just, you have an already finished army, and you just take that.
Video over.
Video over. But I guess if you're like us, we like to, because it is like a once a year kind of a special trip. I don't know, at least with our hobby group, and I think a lot of people feel this way. There's this like, you want to bring something new, or maybe if you want to, if you care about trying to win, or just kind of do well in the tournament, and if you're participating, then it does make sense to maybe think about taking the latest and greatest, because sometimes that's a good choice.
Yeah, let's assume the person watching this video has some unpainted models and they want to finish a brand new army.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely. So I would say a couple things. First, you do need to kind of, and I think this goes for Chris as well, is you need to settle on an army list. Like, you gotta settle on
Wait,
an
that's
army
step
list.
one?
That's probably...
To our friend, that's like step 10 or whatever. We have one buddy who's like, that's step 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
He's still deciding 2 weeks before the event.
He is. Yeah. No, the army list, settling on an army list is probably the single most important thing. And
because it's a project list that
it's
you're
your project list.
settling
It's
on.
going to determine what you will need to work on and finish, and then that'll create a schedule for you where you try and complete those items. And it's hard because sometimes you do that and then something changes or an FAQ happens. But if you can be, a little bit more firm on it and disciplined, then yeah, I think that's at least for me. I think I'm guilty of maybe settling too early on that.
Yeah, Jay's actually really like. That's why I wanted him to start talking first, because I feel like Jay is really good at kind of acknowledging his situation, if that makes sense. Like you do a really good job of like being like, okay, it's 5 months out or 6 months out or 7 months out. Okay, I don't have a lot. Like, I have this much time every day or whatever at home because of my situation. So I need to start now, or I need to start next month, and I know how many units I need to finish every month to get finished. Yeah. And Jay is very consistently either done first or second, usually first, not including John. Out of all of us, like he kind of finishes ahead of schedule and gives himself lots of time to kind of to do like the extra stuff. And so I don't know. So are you like me? Do you like to write out your whole list and break it over a bunch of weeks? And like I kind of like put it in an app and kind of plan out like, okay, these 2 weeks I'll do this, these 2 weeks I'll do this, or do you just kind of have it in like a mental journal?
It's in my head. I don't often write it down formally like that, but it starts to kind of happen as you. I feel it's a bit organic because, like, for example, for the Cities Sigmar project, I was like, what did I do? It was in December. I started working on the Fusiliers, the 20 of those guys, and very quickly I was like, these are so labor intense because of the tower shields and the way they assemble and the little fiddly bits. And quickly I was like, man, this is going to take at least 5 weeks. You could tell, because after 1 week you could be like, well, I got 20% done only.
So this is a really interesting point. This is something where experience comes in a lot. So the more you've painted armies, like Jay and I have probably painted like 30 armies, maybe more. The more you do this, the more you can like paint your first unit and be like, oh, this is actually going to take this long, or like you get a better sense of time. If you're newer to this, you want to start even earlier and like and try to almost do like that prototype unit, like you're saying.
You have to do.
And to give you like a good solid time basis for the rest of your army, so that you can actually allocate your time properly, right?
Yeah,
and that's kind of what you did
for the case of this year. It was I got my cities box and I painted like 1 foot guy, and I don't mind. The prototypes can take a week or two because I'm okay with like you're kind of trying colors and you want it to look good. Those are usually the best looking models in my army.
yeah.
Spend extra time.
Yeah, you can see which ones are done first.
So I think so. Then I immediately started. I painted that guy, and then I painted a knight. And the one cavalier took like a while to do. And then I was like, oh, I better start painting cavaliers now because they're slow. And yeah, the prototype was big, and then you refine it as you go, and then you start to cut some corners because you're like, well, maybe I don't need to do this in 4 steps. I can do it in 3, and it looks the same. But yeah, once, and then I started. So once the knights, once I did the knights, and then I immediately was like, oh, I need to do Fusiliers, and then after that, I was kind of like, then I started to be like, now I had a good frame of mind of how long certain units take. So then I immediately was like, January came, and I'm like, I need to do my next unit of knights. And then what was my next like headache? That was, I think it was
the Free Guild, the guys on foot.
Yeah, I think no. You know what?
Command Corps.
No, it was. I remember specifically thinking about the Command Corps and the Dragon. I wanted to like have a certain amount of time to do. Either way, it's a mix of both. You need to kind of have a list. You need to like start early. And then figure out how long the scheme takes, and then you can kind of start to make a bit. But like I would say mid-January I started to really buckle down and be like, no, I can't give more than a week to this, and then because I still had like 6 things to do.
So that's a good point too. As you get closer to the deadline, I always find this too. You start like being like, okay, you get a little more honed in. Mm-hmm. You start to be like, okay, I only have this much time left. I have no capacity left. I'm not gonna play that video game tonight. I'm gonna paint. Or whatever, and stuff like that starts to happen a little bit more.
The main, I don't know what you call it, secrets. It's not really a secret. I tell this to all my customers, is if you really, truly want to finish things, the deadlines help, I think, because that gives you a date on the calendar that you're working towards. It's a small thing, but it works. And it's the consistency. You just have to paint a little bit every day.
That's huge.
And it's like a exercise infomercial, 30 minutes a day or whatever. And it becomes this thing where you're just like, okay, no, I have to do it before I do anything else. And it doesn't have to be a lot. It does not have to be hours and hours. It really doesn't.
No.
People keep saying the whole like
you're way better off, like you said, doing 30 minutes to an hour every day than trying to do like 1 8-hour day.
That's right.
Week, you know what I mean?
And I get it. Everyone's like, oh, I'm really busy, or I'm always tired, or gassed because of work and life. And I'm like, that's fine, but at the same time, it's if you care or you want to do this thing, then it does require that like small. It's like. And the 30 minutes means that you don't have time to do anything really difficult. It's just like, could just be something stupid. You could be putting Agrax or Shade on 10 dudes.
Sure.
It's those little micro steps add up. And also batch painting. Like, I will do the 5, 10 or whatever bricks of guys at once. And it just means the whole unit will be consistent. It feels like you're slogging along for a while, but then once you put the last brushstroke on the last model, all 5 or 10 are finished, and it's like you have something done rather than
a great feeling.
It's just way you do need to get into the habit of that, and it doesn't mean you have to be really advanced. You could just be like if you're just a contrast painter or whatever, it doesn't matter.
I think that's a good point too. I think like near the beginning of the project, that's where the prototyping phase matters a lot. Is like that first unit. Is set an expectation for yourself. Like, what do you want the army to look like? And I think part of setting expectations in life and in the hobby is to be realistic too, right? So, if you have a deadline for this, maybe don't try to learn 3 new techniques on that army.
True.
Jay and I usually have a rule of like the rule of 1 almost, where like it's like you can like add 1 new thing in, but anything beyond that, you're really going to be pushing. Your time constraints a little bit, like so, like I really want to do oil washes. Okay, I'm going to do oil washes on this army for the first time ever. That's 1 new thing you're going to learn. Oh, I really want to, do the slap chop thing for the first time. That's going to be the thing I learn or whatever. I want to learn an airbrush, whatever. So,
that's true.
So that'd be my advice: is like try not to overload your project with too many new things, so that you're spending too much time learning that, whereas opposed to just like dedicating your time to like painting. Because the more comfortable you are with what you're doing, the quicker you can be as well, I guess, right?
Yeah, sometimes you're right. Yeah, some people are starting to combo too much. They add a really elaborate base too on top that eats up a lot of time, and people, or
that's don't disregard basing and how long basing takes.
Basing can take a while. Yeah. If you're texture rolling a base, which I was doing, so I had to budget time for that too.
That's smart because you did that on your first unit.
Yes.
Because some people would leave the bases. And then not know actually in their mind how long it would take, and then leave it to the end.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh God,
Yeah, I think it depends. If you're going to, either print pieces or roller them, etc., then you have to remember those pieces you made, whether it's rubble or tiles or whatever, they take time to paint. Like you literally have to, and you might want to like with my bases, I would make them all separately, primer them, dry brush them. There was a lot of steps. I would paint, like, they were little set pavement bricks, so I would have to effectively pin wash them, dry brush, and then I also glued like these these like autumn leaves littered around. There's all this extra crap. And then I would have to take my finished painted guys and pop them off their old bases and put them on the new bases. It was a lot of extra work that I had factored in because I did one originally. But yeah, if that's like your last 3 days to go and you got to make like 100 of those, it would be very painful.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're first or second time doing this, that might happen still, and don't feel bad. That's like, I mean, I've been there before, painting the night before an event, painting in a hotel room. I used to be an old joke of the guys who make fun of me because I'd be like, finishing a character in a hotel room or whatever. But I mean, that's part of the process of like learning how to do it. And I think over the years I've gotten better at. This is something I also recommend, is like having like little checkpoints. Whether it's like at the halfway point or like every quarter of the way there, where am I at? Am I on schedule? Am I giving myself too much time, too little time? And just kind of readjust as you go, because maybe your plan sucked, and maybe you need to make a new plan.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, you should also endeavor to play. If it's for a gaming thing, play some games too. Some at the beginning.
Yeah, that's true.
Probably. So once you've like written your army list, I would play a few games right around that time, and that way you can quickly be like, oh, I don't like this or that, and then you can make a quick flex and change. Don't save your gaming to the last couple weeks before.
And with that in mind, start painting the units that you feel the strongest about staying in the list.
Do those first,
Like for me with Seraphon, like I ended up having to repaint, but paint a bunch of things that I wasn't expecting because my list changed so many times. And so I was kind of joking. The guys were making fun of me. It was funny. I kept making my way like halfway through a slan and then like starting over again. And there was like a good month where I literally didn't finish anything, and I was like, "What is the point of all this?" Or whatever.
Yeah. And then you needed to go anyway because you got sick. That was the
cruel
biggest
joke,
strategy.
yeah,
because you half painted a slan, and then you started a croak. Which on paper was like another slan.
It's just a slan with more shit around him. It's just crazy.
I don't know. Did you ever finish the original slan?
No.
It's just. And then didn't you paint a star?
And then I actually, after Croak, I went and painted Little Baby Slan.
Little Baby, the Star
Master. It was a fun model,
actually. Right, yeah.
But still, I'm having chairs like nightmares.
It's a Sky and Chair.
Sky and Chair, yeah. But so I mean, that's kind of a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, after the tournament, like, I didn't have a great. I mean, as in, I had a good time. My, I probably wish my list was a little different now, but it wasn't bad. The games were very close. My record was 1-4, but it could have easily been 3-2 if I just had literally 2 die rolls go my way instead.
Right.
That is something you have to live with. Is sometimes you're like I made a choice to take Ionis, which is a Stormcast Iron Dragon. Kind of early on, or when he came out, because he looked really cool. He ate up 400 points really quickly. Yeah. And I thought he would just kind of pop on my, with my army. Probably if I wanted to do better in the game, although he's not a schlub in the game, but I probably would have taken 10 more free guild cav because they're about a little cheaper. But they're very good in the game. And but the painting requirement for 10 of those is just way more. Like Guy and Dragon is like it's I don't know, it's like a 3-day airbrush thing. You're just like you're just spraying paint and painting a few details and dry brushing something, and it looks great right away. Whereas like the actual cavalry, you're like, oh my god, it's like leather straps and horses and all these bits of armor and all these tiny details. So that was another thing. Is I may not have finished on time if I went with the extra nights. Maybe not. It would have been a different thing.
Yeah. No, that's part of the being realistic. I think that was good. So like, it's
fine. There's always other years and future years, and actually, it's not bad. The 4th ed index cards will show up, and we'll see. Maybe I'll probably have to make changes to my army and that'll be incentivize me to paint some other units. And
yeah, I'm hoping this land's like better than Croak, and then I'll have an incentive to finish this land, right? So it's there's always
And I think if you do the army, not just for the I didn't just do the cities just for Dubjagan. Like they're going to be they've got their the display board I made fits in our cabinet. They're going to be here on the shelf for years to come. So I'll just add new units and evolve them. And we always tell people this too, is try to really I mean, sometimes it happens. You do a flavor army where you're just like, especially again, if you really want to like win at the tournament, sometimes this is a thing. You like, it's like picking. Sometimes the codex that comes out right before the cutoff is like really busted for some reason, and you want to just like take that. So you might not love that army. You just wanted to win, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I find those times to be you have. I don't know. It's like more of a fleeting thing. You go, you play the thing, and then if you don't win, or even if you do win, you just kind of like stop playing the army, and then it's like wasted. I don't know. I find that's worse. I feel like you'll burn out if you do that once or twice, whereas if you just do it more altruistically, you'll kind of
we've talked about this in other videos, just like kind of building collections of models as opposed to just like building one army, and then and all it takes is one war scroll update, and then like the list isn't working anymore. Check out our other video. You're gonna like that one. It's a spicy one.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys like to do? Do you have a plan that works for you? If you're watching this and you've done this a ton of times, do you have any advice for people that haven't? And share that, because like the more we can share, the more any new person that finishes an army the first time, it's an amazing feeling. And I think
big deal.
These events really help give people like a purpose to kind of get that little push that they need to kind of finish something. So yeah, thanks for watching. And like and subscribe if you don't mind. And if you want to really support us, you can check us out on Patreon, the link below. Until next time, guys, take care.
Thanks, bye.